Hi guys, Andy here. So if I'm honest, it just felt like it was a long time since I made a video, so I thought, well, let's make a video. I've been trying to ride more outdoors through the winter. Last year I did quite a bit of indoors on the trainer and I just don't enjoy it. It's just no fun. So I've been trying to ride more outdoors through the cold, but it is so hard when it's like 0 degrees. It's not as enjoyable as when the sun's out, let's be honest. Anyway, so I thought, well, actually, it's more about what gear you wear. If you wear the right gear, it's kind of bearable. I thought I'd do a little video on the gear that you're wearing, maybe open some discussion, maybe help some other people enjoy cycling when it's cold. So here we go. So I'm going to open up with some of this gear. It can be quite expensive. You don't always have to go to the most expensive gear. A lot of the time, you know, this base layer I'm wearing is only a DHB base layer. It's £45. You could probably spend like £100 on a base layer, I don't know. But so sometimes you don't have to go way up to that top end. But other things, so the Gore-Tex or Gore-Wear Shakedry C5 jacket that I'll mention at the end, that's quite expensive. Anyway, so we'll go through kind of bottom to top, all the different stuff that I'll be wearing, and then we're going to get out there on the road. I'll go a little bit over the route that I'm going to ride as well, I suppose. So I'll start off with, now, I stay with my regular shoes. A lot of people will buy winter shoes, and maybe I will next year, but all I've done is I've put Fizik Toe Covers over the end. Now, I do have a different one, like a DHB full shoe cover, but it interferes a bit more with the cleat, so I'm actually preferring this. These Fizik Toe Covers are about £24. They do ship from Italy though, so you might pay a little bit for the shipping. And I still feel that toes are the weak point of the not even the weak point of the outfit, but when you're riding in, I was in -1 a couple of days ago, and my toes, they were numb, and they're actually painful when I got home and I got in the shower and the hot water, and it's painful. And this is with, so move on to the feet. My DEFEET thermal socks, they're £23, but I think they're probably the best thermal sock that I've found just yet. And then my Sealskinz, these are more for sort of wet really. So they have kind of they're double lined, I think. They've even got a kind of a rubbery, sticky lip around the top. I bought these at some point last year when I started riding, and I actually can't find how much they were, where I got them from, what they're called. But I think really just 2 layers, layering is probably the most important thing. So 2 layers of socks, maybe even just 2 thermal socks possibly is what you need. The actual bib tights are just regular LeCol Sport bib tights. I've mentioned the DHB Merino long sleeve base layer. So a lot of the time you're looking for thin, woolly type things to be next to your skin. Now, this is why I make the video in some ways, to open up for discussion, because I'm not saying I'm doing it right necessarily. I'm just saying what kind of works for me, but there might be some people that will correct me. So my next layer on my upper body, and in fact, sorry, I'll point out at this point, so the LeCol Sport bib tights, I only wear 1 layer on my lower. I did try, I've got some kind of gym tights and things. I did ride once with them underneath the bib tight, and actually it wasn't a nice sensation after a while up in the gentleman area, and we're just kind of around, just where all the movement is, it wasn't so good. So I don't have an issue with my legs getting cold generally. If you keep your body warm enough, that does keep most of the larger parts of your body warm. So we move on back up to the body, where I have this Gore-Wear THERMO WINDSTOPPER long sleeve base layer. So it is Gore, and it's got kind of, I think it's 2 different layers. You can perhaps hear it kind of almost a bit crinkly, because that's the WINDSTOPPER layer. Am I inside out at this point? Yeah, I am. So in fact, the outer layer is the WINDSTOPPER layer, and then it's got a sort of more cloth layer inside of that. So you're probably okay just wearing that straight up as your base layer. I bought this more for jogging, if I'm honest, but when I'm just trying to layer up on the bike and stay as warm as I can, this is the second layer on the upper body. The third layer would be just a regular jersey. So I've got a Castelli long sleeve jersey that I will wear. And then the Shakedry, so this is, how much was this, 280, something like that, but it's an amazing jacket because it's so, you can, a lot of my rides initially, I've done that very crudely, but what I'm saying is it packs up to a very small thing that will fit in your jersey pocket. A lot of the rides in the cold, I often started off with this all folded up and packed in my, and within like a mile or two, I think, do you know what, let me get that and put it on, because it's great as a windstopper. Even though I've got a windstopper layer, this seems to do an even better job. But what it doesn't do is make your body sweat. So when you get going and the body does start warming up, I have worn somewhere it's just turned me into literally a ball of sweat on two wheels, to the point that I was trying to clean my glasses off at one point, and I couldn't find anything that I was wearing that wasn't soaked in sweat, because I was basically like a boil in a bag cyclist. Whereas this stuff is amazing. It lets your body breathe still, even though it keeps out the wind. It really is very impressive. Add to that, if it starts raining, it does a great job. The raining just, as it's called a Shakedry, and you can literally take it off, give it a flick, and just all the water just flies off. It's amazing. So then we're going to move down to the gloves and the fingers. And this is, along with the toes, this is your next biggest issue when you're riding in the cold. And again, it's about layers. So I've got, where have we gone? Icebreaker Oasis Merino glove liners. So the nice thin merino wool. What I would comment on is the stitching is not great. So on the very first ride, the stitching split on the back. Now, Wiggle, to their credit, they basically just give me a refund straight away. Boom, there you go. Well, not straight away, but a few days later. And if I get myself some needle and thread, I can probably stitch that together. And it is going, the stitching is going somewhere else as well. So it's a little, I'm torn because they're very nice, but they just come to bits very easily. So that's the liner. Then you need a glove on the outside, which again, it's been quite hard. I've been through a few different ones, and these Sealskinz were recommended to me by someone else who said they've tried so many different gloves, and these are the only ones that really keep you warm in the really sort of cold, like 0 degrees. And the weird thing is that they're sort of, I don't know what you want to call them, penguin hands. So you've got 2 fingers here, 2 fingers here, and it's quite odd. It takes some getting used to for changing gears and things, or brakes or whatever. But they work. They do seem warmer than other. So I've got some Gore wear, quite expensive, like individual fingered gloves. But they're not quite as good as these when you get down to that 0 degree. I think if we get up to kind of 5, 6, 7 degrees, I'll probably go over to the regular Gore winter gloves. And when you get perhaps, I don't know, 10, 11s, 12 degrees, then I go to a thinner glove, and So those are the gloves for fingers. And honestly, there's still, when it's like, it was -1 a couple of days ago, and I was losing feeling in the number of fingers, but still better than they have been in other gloves. Then we get up to your head, which is another bit of an issue. So I just go with the Ruff. That would just go around my neck, and I'll keep it up over my ears, so it'll come around. I don't like it covering my mouth because you need to breathe, obviously. So I'll go there, and then on my noggin is a Castelli. What was this called? Castelli ESTREMO Windstopper SKULLY head warmer, which is only, well, actually I don't know how much it was, because I couldn't find the listing, or it was no longer available. It's another Gore-Tex product. So that covers the ears as well, which is what's really important, because like I saw people talking about what they wear when they're running. When I'm running, I don't know how cold it can be, and I won't even feel it because you're just sweating so much. But when you're on a bike and moving at 25 miles an hour, you've got that wind whipping off you, and your ears and your cheeks, as you set out, that's one of the things you'll feel straight away. As your body warms up, I think it kind of warms them, but as long as you've got your ears covered and as much of that covered as you can, then the heat from your body kind of takes over. You'll notice, like probably as I'm filming out today, you might see my face will be like red from the wind that'll be whipping off me. But you won't feel it so much. It will all be about fingers and toes. Having said that, right now it's saying 4 degrees, which isn't too bad. Like I said, I've been out in, it was 0 degrees back 4 or 5 days. It was -1 a couple of days ago. So for today, I'm hoping it'll be a bit of a breeze in some ways. I'm doing a different route that I haven't done before. It's been sort of recommended and sent to me. So heading up through Shenley. At around about the 20, so it's a 50-mile route with 2,300 feet of elevation, so not too bad. And at about the 20-mile point, I do have an alternate route that will cut across to Redbourne, which is where I'm stopping for a coffee and a cake. But the 50-mile route, well, the 49-mile route that I've got planned, I'll throw in a mile somewhere just to get it to 50. Does a little bit of a peek around back into Redbourne. So, like I say, at 20 miles, I can make that decision. Do I feel like doing 10 extra miles, or am I thinking, oh, my legs aren't really coping with this, or it's too cold, or whatever, and we can head back. The heading back is more on roads more that I'm a bit more familiar with. The last 15 miles or so. So normally I head out to Spokes, which is in Codicott, and I come round, it's like a 40-mile loop, but they're having some issues, kind of COVID-based issues, and that they're basically on takeaway only. I had a little bit of an argument with the guy when I went a couple of days ago, because he served it all up, charged me, and then said, right, yeah, but you can't consume it here. Excuse me? You can't eat it, drink it on the property. What am I going to do? I'm on a bicycle. I can't cycle off with my coffee, and it's not like I'm driving. I can just drive somewhere. I can't put the coffee in my pocket and he did see my point. He kind of, oh yeah, and in the end I did consume on their property. I said, well, anyway, so I'm not going there normally. Well, actually, to be fair, today's a Monday. They're closed on a Monday anyway. So I'm going to a place called The Hub, is the current plant in Redbourne. I have been there once before with a group. So that's the ride. I am taking the GoPro with me, so we'll get bits of footage of me cycling and sort of comments and updates of how my fingers and toes are feeling en route. It might be a little tricky because it's so cold. I'm going to have big old gloves. Normally I can kind of some cycle pull it out and film. I'm not going to be able to do that so much, so I don't know how much I'm going to film on the actual ride. We'll see, but my God, I already see we're into about 12 minutes of video, so I may have bored you all already. It might just be sort of updates as I'm riding around how things are feeling and let you see the gear in action, I suppose, in some ways. Anyway, let's get out there and ride. So, I'm about 21 miles in. I've gone past now, I think I've made the left turn that's my decision point of if I'm doing the 50 miles or 40 miles, and I am doing the 50. And you might be able to tell, well, my face is cold. It doesn't feel cold, but I can feel it's a little bit numb. Therefore, I'm finding it a little bit harder to talk than when I'm at home in my room. But generally I don't feel too bad. The gloves, doing a good job. Not really any issues with my fingers. They've not really gone numb. I can feel they're cold, but they've not gone numb. My feet, I can feel they're cold as well. I can still feel them. I can still wriggle the toes. Almost hurts a little bit to wriggle them, but they're not really uncomfortable when I'm cycling. The weather is pretty crappy, to be fair. It's been blustery. The wind can be annoying. Actually, it can push you about, and when you cycle into it as well, obviously, it's never good. Earlier on, there was like spits of rain as well, but the jacket does a top job. Don't really bother me, the rain. So yeah, I mean, all in all, it's going well. Steady pace. I think about 50 miles an hour at this point. I'm an hour and 20, well, hour and a half in. Got another sort of half an hour to 40 minutes till I get to my coffee and cake stop, and then 20 miles home. I'm getting to film little bits and pieces. As I say, it's not so easy with these gloves and just the weather being how it is, but yeah, there we go. Right, I best get on with it. So I've made it to Redbourne and the hub. I've got my coffee and cake. And I think stopping is probably the bad idea. I really feel, my feet feel really cold now, my toes feel really cold. So I'm just gonna get my coffee drunk, my cake eaten, and get on my way back. 20 miles to go, 30 miles in, but not too bad. But yeah, stopping, taking the gloves off. I can now really feel it. So there we go. I've just finished washing the bike. I've not yet jumped in the shower. I'm still a bit sort of red-faced, I think. But I thought I'd just kind of summarise. It's interesting. The Strava says now that the ride is 8 degrees C. My phone still says 4 degrees C. My bedside Google Home says 5 degrees. With about 10 miles to go, I remember thinking, actually, my fingers feel quite warm. It was quite nice. So clearly it wasn't as chilly as some of the rides I've done, where it was minus degrees, minus temperatures. As I took my shoes off and the one pair of socks, the one layer, I realised, yeah, my toes are pretty, I mean, they're slightly numb. Again, they're not particularly painful. So to me, that ride, and again, my little runny nosed and my face clearly looks like I've been out in the cold. But it wasn't uncomfortable, and that was okay actually. That was an alright day. It started to spit with a little bit of rain as I was coming home, but that was actually quite an enjoyable ride. Not to say I'm really, I'm not looking forward to when the temperatures get back up into the 12s, 13s, 14s and that sort of thing. I want the sun to come back out really. That's when I enjoy cycling the most, when there's nice blue skies and you're cruising through the countryside. But there's a nice route that I did. I remembered more of the roads than I thought I would actually. So Wanderer.earth says I did 8.8 miles of new roads. Although a lot of the mileage I think was on roads I've done before but going in a different direction. So heading out, I did recognise a lot of the roads, but I've only ever done them coming the other way, and even then only a couple of times. So that was interesting. The ride itself, so it was, I did a little bit of a loopy at the end to get over the 50, I think I did 50.4 miles. Average speed, I got up to 15.5 at the end, so it wasn't a massively fast pace. But interestingly, the second part, so I think I was at 14.8 miles per hour when I stopped for my coffee and cake, and I still felt, although it was a bit cold, I still felt reasonably fresh when I set back off. So I started pushing a little bit more, and even now that I've finished, after 50 miles, I feel alright. I could probably have done another, well, I don't know how many, who knows, but I feel fine. I probably could another 10 or 20 maybe. One of my targets this year, I do want to do 100 miles at some point, we'll see. But this has been, so it's literally just turned 2 o'clock, 3 minutes past 2 right now. I set out at 2 minutes past 10, so all told that's been 4 hours. So if I'm going to do a 100-mile ride, I need to basically, it's going to take the whole day. Average heart rate 129, again that went up slightly, so I was pushing more. My watts, the Wahoo told me 200 as an average for the whole ride, but interestingly my normalised power from Strava says 253. I think my FTP is around 290, or used to be. I feel like I've lost some power, but that's a whole other story. Anyway, so riding in the cold, don't be afraid to do it. Just, I guess it might be sort of the budget constraint, budget pending, but just get yourself the right gear, keep riding. That's all I would suggest. So slightly random video, but hopefully you've enjoyed watching. I've enjoyed making it, if nothing else, even if it's not been the nicest weather. It's been a fun ride. Maybe I've helped somebody, maybe you learned something. But as I say, really spark discussion. Tell me, how can I fix my toes? How can I stop my toes from freezing? I've done quite a few other cycle videos, so do check them out on the channel. Subscribe if you haven't already. Please do hit the like button. But for now, my name's Andy, and I'll catch you all again soon.